Joining me now, the film's producer, musician Cooder, and the film's director, Wim Wenders. I'm pleased to have them here to talk about this phenomenal film. This began with you. Mm-hmm. You went and searched these guys. I mean, it began with, actually, you heard something years and years and years ago and just kept it around the house?
Well, I kept listening to these tapes and these old records I had a few of, and then finally, suddenly, a little tiny window of opportunity opened up to get down there and actually meet these people and hear them play and try to record them.
But what was the sound that sort of you couldn't get out of your head in terms of wanting at least to know more, find more?
It's a kind of a mix of archaic European-based dance music, 19th century, and this African rhythmic sort of pulse that they combine these two musical ideas together in the most amazing way. And they sing all these beautiful songs, and I just love beautiful songs. And they not only do it well, but they do it with a kind of a mysterious sort of, there's a sort of a grace that they have as people, that they dance, that they move the way they are with each other, and it's just something that it calls to you. Really.
So between the time you heard that the first time,
right,
those albums you took back,
yeah,
and then you went back in search of these musicians. Right. How long? 20 years?
No. Well, actually, that's right. From the 70s, I've been down there in the 70s and then ended up back in the 90s, so it is actually about 20 years.
And where were these guys?
Well, a lot of them have died, but then these guys had, the ones that lived on just kind of faded into the woodwork down there. They didn't have much to do. They didn't have places to work, and the music became archaic and just disappeared and was replaced by salsa and other more modern forms, you know. But they were there. They just had to be kind of jump-started and gotten together, you know. They need a context.
And having you show up must have been, with an interest in their music, must have been like a godsend for them.
Well, of course, we came in, they have no idea who you are when you come from the outside world. You could be anybody. So what you have to do is quickly reveal to them, which we tried to do, your intention. First of all, you love the music, and you're interested in them as people, and I wanted to play with them. I actually just wanted to do it for me. So if you can get this across on a personal level, then they respond and think, well, this will be fun, this is somehow going to be beneficial, and of course, to be given an opportunity to play is the most important for a musician. The worst thing being is to be neglected, which is kind of what had happened to them, see.
Why was that? Why had they been neglected?
Well, because old people all over the world are very often marginalized right out of their life, I mean, in a sense. Also because this sewn form, this older style had kind of fallen away from popularity in Cuba. And there just isn't much of a musical scene down there in the sense of work. They don't record. There's no record industry there. There's barely a nightclub scene, you know. And these folks in their 80s and 90s and 70s, they just didn't have anything to do anymore.
And so you then set up the idea,
right,
we're going to play.
Yeah, let's get together and play. We get everybody in a room, turn the tape machine on and see what we can do. And of course, come back every day and keep doing it and keep doing it. And the playback is the greatest thing for a musician, the call of the playback, if you like. Yeah. To hear what you're doing played back, and it sounds big and fat, and it's the way it should be. And then that's very encouraging, you see. And so each day you build something and you build something, and you get to be friends, and they love to play, so that's what you're trying to get on tape.
And nobody objected?
Nope.
They loved it?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
And you loved it?
100%. Yeah.
Because you love the music, because you love Cuba, you love these guys, what?
All those things. I mean, of course, being a player, I want to be around, all my life I've wanted to be around great players or people who played music that pulled me, that was fascinating. And this is not just a couple, but many. In this world today, in the 90s, I keep thinking, how rare is this, you know, that you can find a group like this, still in touch with their own culture and their own music. So much of musical culture over the world has just been eclipsed, you know, and been just wiped out.
Yeah. So you, in a sense, were doing something for posterity because these guys were dying.
It's true. You're trying to inject a little lifespan into the music if you can, you know.
And how does this result in a Grammy?
Yeah, I don't know. It happened. So this project's been very blessed by recognition from outside, from other people, from people who never even heard of Cuban music before. They feel connected to it in some way. And I've had a lot of people, Latin people, non-Latin people, people of all kinds come up in the streets. Sometimes I'm in the grocery store and in the line at the bank telling me how great this is and how they love the film and how touched everybody seems to feel, and so that's as much as you can hope for, you know.
And so how'd you get involved in this thing?
Well, Roy got me hooked. I had no idea about the history of it. I was working with Roy when he came back from Havana recording the first album. We were working on a score, and I was trying to get Roy to be concentrated because he always sort of looked in the distance and smiled, and I knew he was back in Havana.
He's not with you.
He wasn't with me.
So you said, if you're not going to be with me, take me to where the hell you are.
Yeah, so one day I said, can't you give me a cassette? The music you were doing, that the album wasn't out yet. So he gave me a cassette, and I listened to it in my car. I stopped the car and parked it because I just couldn't believe it. I heard that rough mix 3-4 times that night, and the next morning I went to Ryan and said, who are these guys you made this music with? It's unbelievable. Who are these kids? And he said, they ain't exactly kids. Yeah. And he told me the stories of some of these people, and then I knew I just had to go see for myself.
So you two went to Havana?
We went back.
For the
Again,
second album, yeah.
for the second album that's been made and released, and Wim photographed those sessions and went and filmed interviews with each in turn in different locations and began to build up the story of this thing. And then, of course, we went from there to a few concert venues so that we could have live footage of everybody, and on it went.
Yeah. Becoming a documentary about what?
I don't even know it's a documentary. At the end of the shoot, because we shot in Havana, then we shot in Amsterdam, and finally we shot here in New York. And at the end of the shoot, it didn't feel really like it was a documentary anymore. It felt like it was a true character piece.
In other words, you selected these musicians. These guys were playing a role of a musician, and they had inhabited the role.
Totally, and their life stories were in front of us, and it was really like fiction. And it was bigger than I ever thought, this movie, in terms of these people being bigger than life themselves, each and all of them. It didn't feel like I was making a movie with some Cuban musicians. It felt like I was making a movie with Humphrey Bogart and Cary Grant. I mean, they're big.